Basically, I just want to talk about Baba and something that I noticed during the week about its pattern. Not just its pattern, but its characteristic, the way it moved, and just the price levels, the reaction of it. Something that a lot of traders don't really look at. Sometimes they just look at your basic support and resistance when they forget to understand characteristics of a specific stock and the movement of it, its ATR, its volume, market sentiment, things of that nature. You got to look at it as a whole. So I'm just gonna break it down for us and kind of explain what I saw during the weekend, why I took a swing trade position with the team, and why I called out that position, that swing position, on YouTube Live when I was live with Bueller and Nick when we did that stream. So here, I already have it slightly charted from the weekly chart. So big area on the bottom, major area, big zone right here. If you notice here too, there's also like a nice gap up into to this area right here. So basically creating a triangle, which is pretty cool. Uh, so this is the weekly. This is where I start. This is where I'll start getting the major price points as to where I'm going to get in, where I'm going to get out, what I look for. And right here, if you noticed, we did create this pattern here, but we broke out basically right here, top that, came down and it's retesting now. So if you can see these two candle bodies retesting, and then we have this third one, this red one, is trying to push up. But again, this market sentiment right now, who knows what it's going to do. But either way, the alerts are right there, the 267 and the 265, 266 area, just in that small range. And I went small. Try to get closer in here on the 4-hour chart. Okay, so I have this target here. Now, something for this week that I'm going to get ready for is, if you look at the trade tab, the expected move for this week is in $11.23. And now we're going to figure out a plan on how to trade this, where we're going to exit, and where we're going to enter, take profit. Now you can use this as a swing or a day trade, however you want. But this is going to be our ticker for the week. My team and myself, we're going to be looking at this specific ticker and try to understand its characteristics versus trying to trying to find a play and trying to enter it. So it's always better to just simply understand versus try to get rich off something that uh, basically you don't need to. You just the goal to trade this whole week on Baba is to just understand this specific ticker. So here we have some resistance, right? Resistance, resistance. Here's a breakout. This is the candle bodies that I want to be watching. Okay, the candle bodies right here, 266.30 if you want to get specific, and then the top of 268 as a whole number. So you can see here the candle bodies, candle wicks, candle wicks. It broke out, came down, tested, just like you saw in the weekly. They're actually wicks. They're not candle bodies here. The This is the other weekly, so it starts from this wick here down to here. That's your weekly candle. Okay. Now, so understanding this, right? We'll get to this point right now. So I am gonna go on the 1-hour chart. Okay. And usually on the bigger time frames, you want to look for swings, right? So yeah, this is where I was able to kind of capture the swing play. We're right here. This was pretty cool. So understand, I already had the weekly, so I had this charted from previous times. I had this here, and basically what we have here, okay, it's your drop base drop, okay. And if you guys are gonna check out the guide that I just made, I'm actually gonna release it this week, so you guys will see this exactly. All right, so here's your drop base, okay, drop. Okay, actually dropped in the same specific day too. Okay, but either way, we closed in here on the 4-hour time frame. We close up in these areas here. So here's your drop, base drop. And then what happened here is we created another base. Okay. So here you go. And remember, these bases, the bigger they are, when you have a breakout to either the top side or the bottom side, the move is going to be a little more aggressive. So you're going to have a bigger move. You might have some more volume. You might have IV increase in options, the option contract. So there's a multitude of things that you can look for when things like this happen. For this one specifically, this one just dropped overnight. Okay. So I'm just gonna mark this real quick just so we can have the range. Okay, so I'm gonna delete the range. Oops, sorry. All right, here we go. Now I'm gonna remove that. So now that we know this right here, right? So remember, this hadn't happened. This was Wednesday for Thursday. So I'm gonna delete this here. All right. So we already saw the base. I already have the levels, and then I have this top one. So actually, whenever there's a range, right? Like I said, there's always a bigger move. Just because you see this first one, it will go past the first one and it'll hit the second one. So the top of the range, top of the zone. Okay, now this is not a zone. This is more of like just a smaller base. The zone would be down here because this is where all the price action is happening. And this is where the major support is at. So this is where all the buyers are going to be stepping in and they're going to press it up against the top of the range, meaning they're coming against all these sellers. So you have this many sellers versus this many buyers. And easy way to understand that on this specific ticker, right? Let me show you. Here's something we didn't have. And this is the information that I had, okay? Now check this. Trevor, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. If you were to look at this chart, what is the first thing you notice about this specific chart?
It gaps down, gaps back up, gaps down, gaps back up, gaps down, gaps back up. And
All
then
right.
when it hit that resistance, it gap back down.
Perfect. See, the characteristic of the gaps is what we want to talk about today. Okay, so every time this ticker had a gap, it filled it, right? And then it retraced to the opposite direction. All right, so here, we're gonna see this pattern here. Gap up, what did it do here? Gap filled. Same thing here, gap filled. Same thing here, gap filled. Here is when I called it out in the YouTube stream, free live YouTube stream. I specifically told everybody, if you guys want to call out, take Bob along, and we're going to swing it into the next day. Okay, now the pattern, gap fill, right? Gap fill here, right? Retrace, right? Here's a retrace. So this one right here started to retrace. Here you go, right? So here, that was a pattern, right? Here's your gap up. Guess what happened when we gapped up? Hit that spot. This is where I told everybody take profits. Gap filled.
Perfect.
See that? Now, the awesome part about this is that I think a lot of people will miss things like this. They miss characteristics. They miss certain type of movements on a specific stock. And remember that not every stock is going to act the same as BABA did this past week. Okay, another thing that you clearly see on here, there's your trend. All right. And then here you just have like a nice channel going up. And of course, gap up, come down, gap up, come down, gap up, come down. So there's another reason why to take this trade for the swing trade, right? The other reason, like I said, we did not have that. So we had this. We stayed above it. This was your retest here. So you have a trend line, you have the characteristic of the gap up and gap fill, and with the retrace to the opposite direction. And then you have the retest here of two specific types of trends, right? So the trend line, the range break, the zone to zone. So the top of the zone would be this 283 area, and that's exactly where we hit. And now look at the trend, how it changed direction. Okay, and now you see, even though we came back into the range, so this stock already had its move. It had the bounce off support, hit the resistance. Now it's retracing. And what did it do again? Right? It had the same characteristic, gapped up, okay, gap filled here. Okay, so gap up, sorry, gap down, gap fill, came back down. What do you think we're gonna do next? And where do you think we're going to open? That is your question. So are we gonna gap down? Okay, so are we gonna gap down here? Okay, into the support and bounce from here towards the gap fill, right? Now remember that this stock has an $11 move. Okay, if we open here, okay, 68, $11 to the top. Trevor, where are we going? You there, man? You left me alone?
Oh, I was talking with my mic of the 280 and 285 areas.
Cool. So this is where we're heading. Okay, so on the $11 move from this area, we're heading up to the top of the range again. And again, if we break this weekly support that we found already, it's actually coming down here to this 255 area. So now I literally gave you a plan for BABA, what we're going to watch, what we're expecting, the $11 move. And now you have a set plan. If we enter here, we gap down, expect that gap to fill and either retrace to the opposite direction, okay? Or we gap up to this top and same thing. We can come down, okay? Come down, or we just keep pressing up from here to the top of the range again. And again, you can use this as a swing. You just have to understand the characteristic of BABA. When you're swinging this, expect the gap down, expect that gap up, and expect that gap to be filled if this continues to have the same type of characteristic. And remember, this one was trending up. Now it's trending down. So will this support hold for the week? Or will it actually break, and will we get that $11 move is going to be the question that you're going to have to ask yourself on Monday or Tuesday, depending where we go with the market sentiment. So I'm assuming that wherever the market sentiment is, that is the direction that Pablo's going to have this full week. So that's what I'm kind of expecting. Here's the 4-hour chart just so you can see it a little bit better, right? So we're either going to come back to this top of the range by Friday, or we're going to come and test this trend line, which remember on the bigger time frame, this is where you'll be buying calls. If this drops on the $11 move by like, I don't know, maybe Monday or Tuesday, I'm gonna grab a call and I'm gonna ride it back up to the retest of the weekly, and I'm gonna grab a 2-week contract out, and I'm gonna ride it to this area here, simply because it already had its move.
It needs to retest it to confirm that.
Exactly, there you go. So characteristics, understanding patterns, understanding what they do, and understanding how to play, how to trade it is what's going to matter this whole week. So this is going to be my number one stock that I'm going to specifically watch with my team, just so we can get an idea of what it does every time it hits those levels, how price action is going to react, what kind of volume is going to come in, what the market sentiment is going to be. All those things we're going to take into consideration, and we're literally going to trade just the red and green candles, nothing else, no indicators, no crosses, no none of that. It's just specific price action and trading zones. And this is exactly how we're going to trade this all week. That makes sense, guys?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Cool, man. Hopefully this helps everybody. Hopefully this is something that you guys can trade and understand when you're in the trade. Most likely, I will probably call it out at those price points. The break above, break below, that's the direction. If you're in a call and it's breaking below, guess what? You cut loss, grab a put, be smart. Okay, no need to get emotional and say, why did I just have a red trade? No, cut your loss, grab a put, cut your loss, grab a call, whatever direction it may be, because it's going to go once it breaks out of that zone, and that's how we're going to plan. All right, guys?
Let's get it.
All right, man. But that's all I got on Baba. Let's have a green week, man, and get ready for some volatility again. The market is still on that bearish sentiment. As of right now, it looks like it's still holding a good level. So that's all I really care about. And I guess we'll just take it day by day since we're day traders, right? But yeah, guys, look out for the new guide that's going to be coming out. I'm just waiting on one more piece. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the trading floor, guys. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Trevor.
No problem. Let's go, man.
Cool.